You know the feeling. You're standing in a room full of people, but you're watching your own life from behind an invisible wall. You observe the world from a distance, exhausted by the sheer effort of maintaining a social mask just to appear present. This video is a tutorial on how to deconstruct that barrier. By the end, you'll have a practical just for today plan, a 24-hour strategy to step out of your shell. To start, we need to bring this into the physical world. Pause the video, find a quiet, private space, and get a pocket notebook and a pen. Gathering these physical objects is your first act of recovery. It anchors a dissociated mind back into the immediate physical environment. The most persistent trap of affective isolation is the belief that you are in control, that you could re-engage with reality anytime you really wanted to. Recovery begins by testing that theory. In this program, you don't start with more effort. You start by admitting that your willpower has already failed. Open your notebook and physically write these words. I admit I am powerless over my affective isolation, that my life has become unmanageable. Writing this down often brings a strange sense of relief. You're no longer responsible for fixing a problem that is beyond your individual power to solve. If you've tried to stop isolating before and failed, it suggests this isn't a lack of character or a moral flaw. It is a progressive emotional condition, and like any illness, it requires a specific treatment rather than just more trying. Once you surrender the illusion of control, you can stop fighting yourself and finally start following a structured path toward regaining governance over your life. Next, we have to look at the inner critic. This is the internal, authoritarian voice that demands perfection and keeps the shell intact. The critic uses shame and the fear of being seen as ridiculous to keep you paralyzed. It tells you that if people saw the real you, they would reject you. In your notebook, list 3 specific situations or secrets that trigger your deepest sense of shame or inadequacy. These must be written in pen. The red X marks the attempt to erase or minimize. You need to see these thoughts exactly as they are, without the ability to edit or hide them from yourself. Avoid the urge to overanalyze or provide rational excuses for these feelings. Focus only on the raw emotional facts of what you feel. When shame stays in your head, it feels like an invincible monster. But once it's trapped in ink, it becomes a concrete object you can examine from the outside. It's no longer your identity, it's just data on a page. Recovery is a social process. To break the shell, we use the 7 resources, specific actions that move you from internal isolation to external connection. Choose 2 actions to take before this day is over. It could be attending a meeting or simply a 5-minute phone call to a single person. Expect pushback. The moment you decide to reach out, your brain will likely react with a spike of intense anxiety. This is withdrawal syndrome. As the graph hit this contact point, your anxiety spikes because your mind is literally unlearning its habit of isolation. If you do not retreat, this spike eventually subsides. Your nervous system is recalibrating to healthy social energy. That anxiety isn't a signal that something is wrong. It is the measurable friction of the shell actually breaking. To keep that anxiety from becoming overwhelming, we use a strict 24-hour psychological boundary. Write down these 3 checklist items. I will avoid isolation. I will make contact. I will accept my imperfections. Never promise to stay integrated forever. Projecting recovery into the distant future is a quick way to trigger panic and a total retreat. Your focus is restricted to a single window. You only need to work the plan until you go to sleep tonight. Managing isolation over a lifetime is daunting, but managing it for one day is an executable task. Look down at what you've written. This notebook is now a personalized map for your return to sanity. Following this map leads to self-integration, the state where you no longer watch your life from the sidelines, but actually inhabit it. The disease tells you that you are uniquely alone. This plan exists to prove the opposite, flooding the space where isolation used to be. Close the notebook, close this video, and immediately execute the first connection item on your list. Experience shows that shared pain is diminished pain. Recovery begins the moment you act.